Hey guys, so another year, another draft, and after that, since we went through such a roller coaster of craziness, it started making me think. We all knew John was on the chopping block. It was obvious to everyone. I made it pretty clear online that I knew, I was 99% sure that John was the one getting taken out, unfortunately. So it got me thinking, which team was actually dominant from last year's draft to this year's draft? So I went back and I looked through all of the times one team got the one up on another team. And I decided to make a video about that to see just how underperforming John was as a team. Now, some things I need to make clear. How I did this was anytime one member of a faction pinned, submitted, eliminated, whatever, basically won over another person of a faction. That means, for example, if Momo pinned Hazuki, that would be one win for Queen's Quest over Odo Tai. Now, this also means that if any of these members got a win over someone who wasn't a part of a faction, that doesn't count. Unfortunately, that's just how I was going to do it because I wanted to see which team had got the more one-up on the other teams. Now, some things I need to clear up just so I don't get a million comments saying, hey, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this? Oh, you forgot this person. There are some things that I did, administrative decisions on. And here's some of them. One of the major ones was some of these people who would regularly team with some of these factions that I didn't count. Now, the biggest example was Alex Gracia. Now, during her time in Stardom, she teamed up with Stars a lot, pretty much exclusively, and it could even be argued that she was a Stars member. But I disagree, and here's why. Even though she only particularly teamed with Stars members, and she was pretty much a Stars member while there, certain number of factors, like she never officially joined, she never got drafted in the last draft into Stars. And another reason is she wasn't important enough for Mayu to determine to actually pick her again, or pick her for the first time this year in this draft. The only foreigner picked by Stars this year was Zaya. So Zaya was the only one I considered an official member of Stars over the last year. People like Jamie Hayter, I only counted as a part of Odo Tai once she betrayed Bobby Tyler. So anytime before that, it didn't count. Hannah, I only counted as Odo Tai until she betrayed Odo Tai, and then she no longer counted because moving on to the next probably controversial thing is I didn't count Hannah's group. And here's why. One of the reasons was it was never very clear when exactly a group was formed. It could be argued the moment she, betrayed Odo Tai, or it could be argued it was later, or the first time it was ever brought up. There was just no very clear time when Hannah's group counted, so I figured I would leave her out and I would only take into account the four main factions: Odo Tai, Queen's Quest, Stars, and John. And that made it a little bit easier to do this research, and unfortunately, that means that one team actually got hurt quite a bit on this because a lot of their matches was against Hannah's group. Another important factor that I need to bring up just in case someone is wondering, if, for example, Queen's Quest making up Momo and Utami were facing two people and they were both from different factions, say, for example, Hazuki and Leo Onozaki or something, some weird stuff like that, and Momo pinned Leo, that means Queen's Quest gets one win on John, not Odo Tai. Now, say that other person was someone from not a faction like Alex Gracia, and Momo pinned her. That means that they got no wins. This is to kind of be a little fair to everyone. I just decided to make this a decision, and that went for everyone. Now, the only time this actually benefited someone was the one time I found where Hannah actually pinned two people at once, both from different factions, while she was in Odo Tai, so I had to give Odotai 2 wins over each faction, or 1 win over each faction. It was, I didn't know what to do, and that's just a decision I made. So another important factor is Jungle, Natsuko, and Kaori all counted as Stars members until they split off. So there was about like a month period where John got no stats, and all of their wins and losses counted for Stars. And then the Ruaka, I was recently told that I was saying that one wrong. It just, Ruka made sense to me. I'll try to start saying it right, but I can't guarantee that. Ruaka? Maybe it's Ruaka? I don't know. I'm just going to say Ruka for now in this video. Not that I'll ever have to say it again. Damn, I ramble way too much. So Ruka and Leo Onozaki were not members of Stars. They weren't picked. They were never really shown to be members. And even Jungle said that Ruka was crying in the back when she wasn't picked. So I took, I had to make a decision, and I said Ruka and Leo were not a part of any team until they joined John. Hina and Rina are not a part of Stars. They were never officially inducted in, and it was very, very unclear whether they were members. I decided to not make them members. I asked on Reddit people's opinion on whether Hanan was technically a member since she wasn't drafted, and I made a decision after reading some answers and thinking about it for a while that Hanan would be considered a member, especially since she got drafted in this year's draft. So I believe that is all of the disclaimers I need to do before going on to this video. Now, the rest of the video is actually going to be voiceover. You're not going to be seeing me, and I know you're sad. Let's get to it. Starting off, I will talk about total wins. I will start with the team with the least amount of wins and go up. The team who won the least is John, which shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Their members were only able to beat someone from another faction a number of 25 times. Coming in second last is Stars at 67 wins. If you ever wanted proof that John got the short end of the stick, just look at the amount of wins difference between these two. To be fair though, most of John's members' matches were against Hannah's crew and foreigners, so these numbers only show how successful they were against the other 3 factions. Now, second place goes to Odotai with 68 wins. I thought there would be more difference between it, but it seems that these two groups, the Odotai and Stars, got pretty evenly spread number of wins. The only one left, Queen's Quest, coming in at first with an astounding 82 wins. This actually surprised me, but at the same time makes a lot of sense, since only one member, Azumi, really regularly didn't get wins. A lot of these come from Momo's astounding 13 defenses, so 13 of those 82 wins are purely just from Momo. Moving on to total losses. This time I will also start from the bottom and work my way up. The faction that lost the least is unsurprisingly Queen's Quest with 45 losses. Odotai is next with 47 losses, not too much of a difference, and it makes sense that these two factions with the most wins have the least losses. Next is obviously Stars, or that's what you thought I was going to say. John is actually second in most losses, not first. They have a total of 74 losses, which is just insane. They lost to the other factions so much, but never really got their revenge. Of course, that means that Stars has the most losses at 76, which makes a lot of sense since they had the most members and a bunch of young and or rookie wrestlers. Now, with the totals out of the way, let's go to Stars and fill out the rest of the blank spaces. Starting with wins from top to bottom, Stars has won against Queen's Quest a number of 19 times, Odotai 17 times, and John 31 times. Since the wins of one team correlates to the losses of the other, I will only be discussing the wins for now. Odotai won against John a total number of 20 times, Queen's Quest 23 times, and Stars a number of 25 times. Now to the depressing part of the video, John's stats. They won against Queen's Quest a pitiful number of 3 times. Yes, only 3 times in the entire last year a John member got a win over a Queen's Quest member. Odotai only 6 times and Stars 16 times. Seriously, I knew I was going to get hurt doing this, but John deserved better in my opinion. Now on to the Queen's Quest team. Queen's Quest beat John a total of 23 times, Odotai a total of 24 times, and Stars 35 times. You know, doing this, I knew John was going to be not looking so good, but I honestly couldn't really guess who was going to be the most dominant. Even though Queen's Quest is very powerful, I just didn't know if they were the most dominant. So, there you have it. How each faction did from the last draft to this one. If they do another draft next year, I will most likely do another one of these videos since I think it's a pretty cool idea. Let me know in the comments who you thought was going to be the most dominant and who you thought was going to have the most losses. And do the numbers of times certain factions got the one-up on another faction surprise you? Alright, bye.